Greetings, everyone. I am Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another news item about the passing of one of our rock legends. Way too many of these days, unfortunately. We have lost John Charles Lodge, of course known as John Lodge, bass player, vocalist, and songwriter of the Moody Blues. I guess it was just announced today, the 10th of October here in 2025, so I'm not sure what the exact date of his passing. I guess it was either today or yesterday, something like that. He was born July 20th, 1943 in Birmingham, England. He leaves us at the age of 82 with quite the body of work left behind him. Like I mentioned, founding member of the Moody Blues, and basically a rock in that band for so many years. Not only his very capable bass skills, right? You know, John Lodge never really known as like one of the virtuoso bass players in the rock world, but he's one of those guys always there, always holding down the bottom end in this band, which could arguably be called one of the first ever symphonic rock bands, right? The Moody Blues, one of those bands often gets talked about in that kind of mid-late 60s, early psychedelic pop, psychedelic rock, progressive rock style of music. And of course, along with the rest of the band, in 2018, John and the rest of the guys inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a member of the Moody Blues. So again, some solo albums throughout his career, not a lot. Mostly he's known for playing and being in the band the Moody Blues. He has gone out in more recent times as John Lodge's Moody Blues, or just as John Lodge, right, playing the music of the Moody Blues, and his wonderful vocals as part of one of the few singers in the band, right? Just an integral part of the sound of the Moody Blues. And, you know, was part of one of the great album runs in like rock history, right? Regardless of like what kind of rock music you're talking about. You know, we're going all the way back to, what was this, 1967, right? Days of Future Past. Perhaps their most well-known album. Really, you know, they had another album before this in a very different style, then all of a sudden this comes along. And this, to me, is basically what you could classify as the birth of this thing called symphonic rock. A lot of elements in this music, the use of orchestral themes, you know, blending psychedelia and pop and symphonic and classical elements into rock music. Is it prog rock or not? Who knows? Who cares? But it's definitely that Moody Blues sound. You know, Nights in White Satin, of course, you know, the band also incorporating a string orchestra, using the mellotron, especially later on after this album, using the mellotron, this very early keyboard that you press a key and a tape reel goes on. You can, you know, kind of replicate choral sounds and orchestral sounds and brass and woodwind and all that sort of thing. And, you know, this was kind of the start of all of that, kind of a concept album about, you know, a day in the life of a day, right, that as the day goes by. And that was followed, and they cranked out albums pretty quickly early on in their career. Really, you know, all the way up to like 1980 or 81 or so. You have how many albums are we looking at here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 albums I'm going to show you, which make up for me. If you're looking to get into the Moody Blues, these are the albums you need, really. In Search of the Lost Chord comes up next. And again, what's great is to hear his lead vocals are always very, very, very well done. And, you know, just so you get a shot of the band early on. Right there they are. And an integral lineup, you know, one of the most important bands of the era, but also a long-standing lineup where you had a consistency with the lineup across the board. So, of course, in this album you have Ride My Seesaw on here, you know, Legend of a Mind. He's just great. The Actor. All these really, really cool symphonic, psychedelic rock and pop songs. On the Threshold of a Dream comes up next. Another really cool song. A lot of good stuff on here. The Dream is on here. The Voyage is on here. I always love how they blended like these kind of narrative bits and these kind of like, oddball, strange, quirky songs with these more kind of like grandiose symphonic things. And then these kind of like downbeat, like kind of like pop songs, because some of their songs are very, very much dripping in melancholy and whatnot. And, between Justin Hayward and John, and a little bit from Mike Pinder, of course, on Mellotron, you get these great vocal harmonies and whatnot. To our children's children. And I must say, like, all these album covers are like spectacular. That's the one cool thing. You have great album covers here. Again, Eyes of a Child. You got Gypsies on here. That's one of my favorite tracks from the Moody Blues. Love the Mellotron. Love those soaring vocals. Really, really good. Question of Balance. Again, more cool artwork. Right? The song Question is so, so good. You got Minstrel Song on here. How Is It? Every Good Boy Deserves Favor. Look at that album cover. It's just one after another here. Emily's Song is on here. Nice to Be Here. You Can Never Go Home. Seventh Sojourn. So now we're getting onwards into the 70s, but still a great long run here. Lost in a Lost World is on here. You and Me is Life Strange. And I'm going to include Octave here as well. Octave is also quite good. So again, now we're at like 1978 here. So again, the band incorporating more kind of modern production techniques and adding things like synthesizers and whatnot. But very, very good stuff here. And then for me, what I consider the last truly great Moody Blues album. There's others that come after that are pretty good. They've become more of like a straight pop band by this point in time. But here you have Long Distance Voyager, which I think is fantastic. Of course, you have Patrick Moraz joining the band on keyboards. Adds a totally unique flavor, bringing in lots of synthesizer technology and whatnot. And this was a very big album for them, where, like I said, they still have the essence of the Moody Blues, but it's brought into the 80s. Does a really, really good job on here. Gemini Dream is on here. The Voice is on here. Very, very, much soaring rock and pop, using elements of art rock and progressive rock and whatnot. And again, John in the middle of all of this. And I think that one of the cool things about the Moody Blues, like I mentioned before, is you really had this very consistent lineup for so many years. Yeah, it changed up a little bit towards the end, but you had these distinct vocalists who had their own unique writing style as well. And you always can count on John's voice being there, his bass playing alongside his colleagues in the band, and really good stuff, and a very important band, a very popular band, a very beloved band. So today is a sad day for all the Moody Blues fans in the world who, one of the voices of the band is now gone. So rest in peace, John Lodge, and everybody go out and play your Moody Blues classics today and celebrate the life and the music of John Lodge. And we'll see you all next time. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'm Pete Pardo. Take care.